Welcome to the Under Construction Podcast with me, Martin Williams. Here we talk about how to build or rebuild your life one step at a time. Let's get to work. And welcome to the Under Construction Podcast. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and you do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. All the links to the podcast can be found at guidedexpressions.com/podcast with an S. Today, I wanted to talk to you about taking action and how it masters fear. So a lot of people struggle with procrastination. I know I have a lot in my life, and it's been one of those things that, when I look back on it, it's really cost me. It's really taken up a lot of time. It's cost me a lot of experiences, right? And I wasn't able to really, live as much life because I didn't choose to take action. I just sat on the sideline. And, it's natural to procrastinate. Millions of people suffer from it. But as natural as it is, it's also something that's going to be a problem in your life until you do something about it. And basically all procrastination is a decision not to do something. So let's say that, at work, you have work piling up and, there's, there's reports that you needed to do. There's things that you need to do related to your job. There's things that your boss is expecting you to do and you haven't done it. And, it's just piling up. And, it's starting to build anxiety, right? So you're starting to get a little bit, out of sorts because that this stuff has to get done, right? It's a part of your job, it's important, but you just can't find the will to do it. Well, usually it's because you have not made a decision to do it. You just haven't, right? It needs to get done. That's not what I'm talking about. It's making a conscious decision that you're going to take action and you're going to finish whatever it is that you need to finish. And that's really all procrastination is. It's a lack of a decision to do something. Once you decide to do something, procrastination begins to wane, right? It begins to fall away because you start moving towards doing the things that you need to do, right? So you may be in school and it may be the same thing. You got to write papers. You got to, read a certain amount to keep up with the course. That you got to prepare for exams. So, you can't study for an exam, especially if you're in college or above. You can't study for an exam the night before, right? My old professor would say, go to the movies the night before an exam because you can't study for my exams the night before, right? And he was right. He said you prepare along the way, so when it comes time for the exam, that you're going to get a good grade because you've been studying all along, right? So all these things that you're supposed to be doing on a consistent basis, you're not doing it, right? But when you make that decision to basically get it done, then procrastination goes away. So if it's that easy, how come people don't do it? Well, the large reason is that most people don't realize it. I think a lot of people are just ignorant of that. And I think that, it just takes people like me basically raising people's awareness that, these things can be fixed with very simple solutions. I'm not saying it's easy, especially if you've built the habit of procrastination over the years. I'm not saying it's easy to wake up one day and say, well, I'm not going to procrastinate anymore. Well, I'm not saying it's easy, but it is simple, right? But that's not where it ends. So you make a decision to do something, right? And now you're no longer procrastinating, but it's still another decision to be made. And that's the decision to actually go through with the action. Because it's one thing to decide, okay, I'm going to get this done. But it's another thing to start doing it. And it's not one decision. It's basically two decisions. You make a decision to act, but there's a little window of time between that decision and then the actual doing of the thing. Okay. So I'll use a very simple example. You may have like a lot of junk in front of your door, right? In front of your house, maybe a porch or something. And you walk by this thing every day. If you leave your house, you see how this stuff is piling up, right? And maybe it's you or maybe it's your spouse that says, we really need to get this clean. And you agree, right? And then you decide, okay, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to clean this up. But I can't do it until Saturday, right? And it's Monday. So you've got a good 5 days where you can basically, there's so much opportunity to talk yourself out of it, because the more you see it, it's like, this is really more than I thought. I might need to hire someone, or I might need to, maybe get some neighbor's kid to come down and help me, or what have you. Right. So that's like Monday. Monday, you realize just how much stuff it is. And then Tuesday, something comes up and it's like, man, I don't even want to think about this right now. And then Wednesday, maybe you start feeling a little, like a little cold coming on. And then Thursday, your kid is having a mini crisis that requires your attention. And by the time Friday arrives, like you're spent, right? Between work and home and all these other things that you got going on, you're exhausted. And then Saturday arrives and you're not touching it. You're not touching that stuff in front of the door. You don't want to. It's like, I got other things. Like, I'd rather take a nap, right? So even though you made a decision to act, right? Even though you made a decision to do something about all the stuff in front of the house, Saturday arrives and nothing happens because there was too much space between the decision to act and the actual action. Salespeople know this, right? When a salesperson calls on a prospect, they know that if they don't get that person to sign right then, the chances of that person signing later goes down exponentially. So salespeople understand this. They understand that if they want that person to sign, they got to get that person to sign right away. If you've ever been to a timeshare presentation, and I've been to a few, they try to get you to sign right away because they know that once you walk out the door, you're not signing anything, right? Because timeshares are actually not a great investment, right? But that's beside the point. But you look at it from that perspective and you understand how important it is to take immediate action, right? So if I were to basically rename this podcast, immediate action is the mastery of fear, okay? Because as long as you have a space of time between the decision you make to act and then the actual act, you're going to talk yourself out of it, especially if you've built up the habit of procrastination over time, which a lot of people have. Okay. You didn't just start procrastinating last week. You've been procrastinating for years, maybe even decades. But now you know better, so you have to do better, right? Or you should. Instead of allowing that space of time between the decision to act and the actual action, right? Take immediate action. So when you decide to clean up all the crap in front of your house, at the moment you decide, go out there and take something and put it in the trash. I'm not saying you got to do the entire thing, but if you start it, you're much more likely to finish it. most people don't finish because they don't start. Some people start and don't finish, right? Because if it's not something that can be done in one day, you got to make the decision again to finish it, right? If you're writing a 10-page paper, you can't write it in a day. I mean, I suppose theoretically you could, but it won't be very good, right? You can't write a 10-page paper in one day, right? So every single day you got to get up and you got to make a decision that I'm going to write that paper today, or I'm going to finish that paper. You make the decision to write the paper, and then you take action. And maybe you write a half page or a full page. But then you got to get up tomorrow and make another decision that you're going to finish it, right? And then you have to continue making that decision until it's done. And you better than anyone else. If you know that you're someone who procrastinates easily, then you've got to stay on top of yourself to finish things. And basically, when I say finishing, I'm saying making the decision constantly. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is how you master the fear of taking action, the fear of whatever results. Because a lot of people are afraid, and this is my last point, a lot of people are afraid to take action because they think they're going to fail. They think that it's not going to work. They think that, I'm not good enough, which is nonsense, right? Because the same God that created the universe is in you. So you have unlimited ability to do whatever it is that you need to do. So there's no reason to be afraid. There's no reason to be scared. You just need to take action. You just need to go and allow God to basically act through you. That power acts through you. And when you do that, there's no fear of negative results. Now, as you allow that power to work through you, it might get a little bumpy, right? But, as you renew your mind to live a different way, it gets easier, it gets better. But first things first, you got to take action, right? A lot of people sit around and they let life pass them by because they don't understand every day that you wait to take action, it gets harder and harder. Start taking action right away. Start moving towards your goals. Whatever it is, if you're trying to lose weight, just get out and walk for 20 minutes. If you're trying to get a business off the ground, start posting and start reaching out to people who may be potential customers, right? Just take action, right? Take immediate action. You start mastering fear. You start mastering procrastination. And you start getting in the flow of creativity, which is where successful people live on a day-to-day basis. They live in a perpetual state of creativity, and that's where success happens. So I'm going to leave it off here. If you want to know more, go to guidedexpressions.com and find out more about what I'm doing, find out more about the Blueprint, my course that I'm releasing next month. And also visit me on Facebook and Instagram. The links to those pages are in the description box. So come say hi. And I will ask you to subscribe, like, comment, share this podcast out, and I'll talk to you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the Under Construction podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. For more information on Guided Expressions courses and products, go to guidedexpressions.com/products.